the next speaker is Lina Canas. So
Good morning, Handasa. Hi, everyone.
and the talk title is Astronomy for Everyone. So your talk should be strongly connected to the last our mention of the Connie's session, Connie's talk.
Yes.
So
Actually, we are fortunate to collaborate with Connie very closely, and
okay.
her amazing work and inspiring programs, definitely.
Mm-hmm. In Japan, we have the IAU campaign, and we phase two. So we should need many support for many languages. I think everyone, including that meaning. So, okay, sorry. I
No. This is
speak too much.
Handasa. No, not at all. Actually, the language aspect is something that I'm gonna bring in during my talk, because our office has a network of nearly 400 translators in around 30 something languages, in which we promote exactly this, the best resources and the needs for translation. So I think it's from our sides, it's definitely one of the key issues that we need to address in terms of accessibility of the best resources.
Okay, then please start your talk.
I will. Let me just share my screen. I'm not sure if you can see my presentation now.
I can see you.
Okay, perfect.
Now good.
Okay, thank you so much. So my name is Lina, and as Anderson mentioned, I work here in Tokyo, in Japan, for the IAU Office for Astronomy Outreach. So today my talk will focus on our broad goal, that is to bring astronomy to everyone. And how do we do this? How do we engage the public in astronomy? Through focusing on access, like we were mentioning, the matter of language, that can be something that brings us together, but can also be a barrier. In terms of communication, what our efforts to support in sharing the best practices in terms of communication and outreach to our community of professional outreach practitioners, and also the goal that is really embedded in the core of the IAU, of the International Astronomical Union, which is international cooperation and collaboration. To give you a bit of a context, who are we? So as I mentioned, our office is the IAU, International Astronomical Union Office for Astronomy Outreach. So our focus is on astronomy outreach and public engagement. And we try to follow as much as we can the mission that is at the core of the International Astronomical Union, which is to promote and safeguard astronomy in all its aspects, research, communication, education, development, through international cooperation. And this is embedded at the core of IAU, as I mentioned. So we are the largest association, international association of professional astronomers. So we are present in more than 100 countries, and we have nearly 13,000 professional astronomers in as our members. And we all focus on this mission, on this global goal. Our office, like I mentioned, we are based here at the National Astronomical Observatory of Japan, based here in Tokyo, and our office is a joint venture. So we started operations back in 2012, and we are, so to say, of a legacy of the International Year of Astronomy back in 2009 that has shaped our lives in so many aspects, even if it's already past a decade of this milestone in astronomy celebrations around the world. So our office, it's a legacy, and it was installed or created to build up on the legacy left by this the International Year of Astronomy. Because we are based in Japan and this is a joint venture, we also support NAOJ actions at an international level in the Asian, or specifically in the Asia Pacific region, and reaching out to our community in this particular region. Of course, our reach is global. Our office is an international office that is under the structure of the International Astronomical Union. So the International Astronomical Union has four main offices. One is the OAE, Astronomy for Education, using astronomy for the advancement of education. One is focusing on training of professional astronomers, training the next generation of astronomy through the Office of Young Astronomers. And the other one is our colleagues of Astronomy for Development, in which we use astronomy as a impactor, or to development countries in terms of socioeconomical aspect. And our office is focusing especially on the outreach component, on the public engagement. And these four offices, they have a very specific function under the IAU strategic plan for the next decade, 2030. Especially our office is under the goal 4. I don't want to get too much into the strategic plan, but just to mention that we engage the public in astronomy through access to astronomical information, communication of science of astronomy. So this is how it's embedded at the structural level within the IAU. But what is in effect our main goal, our main objective, is to bring astronomy to everyone. And this can be it's a pursuit. We are conscious, we understand that this is a very hard goal to fully achieve ever, but we need to have a big vision. We need to aim high, and we really wish to bring astronomy to everyone. And how are we pursuing this goal? Our focus is mostly on access to astronomical knowledge, not only through translations, not only through adapting or localizing the resources, but in many ways, access can also be to identify the needs of each individual country. This is a big goal. Each individual community, and try to tailor our strategy, our actions to each community. We also try to have some programs that are specifically for skill building of astronomy outreach professionals, sharing best practices, research, and also to strengthen international cooperation and collaboration. And why is this so important? Because from our perspective, looking at as a whole to our community, through our international community of 100 countries that I mentioned, we often identify that there are so many creative solutions that it's terrible when we need to reinvent the wheel every time we have a problem, every time we try to find a solution for one particular need in our community. Through cooperation, through collaboration, we can share our experience, we can share our stories, and we can really be inspired by each other to reach out in terms of to reach out or give access to astronomical knowledge to our different communities. So that's why to strengthen international collaboration is so important, and it's so relevant to us. I will start to talk a little bit about access and our activities in terms of access. So we do have the translations that Connie and Handa-san were mentioning before. And I will get into a bit more detail in terms of these translations and what is the focus of these translations. We try to have, to bring resources or to take resources to underserved communities that can be not only in remote areas that outreach activities are not that much implemented, but also the other barriers that allows us not to, or makes difficult for us to engage with astronomy. And of course, we focus mostly on the dissemination of free resources, open source, and low-cost activities, because this increases, in fact, the reach of our dissemination. As I was mentioning, we have one program that is called Astronomy Translation Network. And currently we have around 400 volunteer translators, scientific reviewers, and proofreaders, because to make sure that the translations are credible, are good translations, it's really important for us that we hit these 3 stages of the translation itself. And when possible, we try to go even a next step, to have it localized, to have it adapted to different social, cultural, geographical contexts, not only to make the translation itself, but also to bridge with the local culture and the local geography, if you can say it like this. What we do, what we most focus is the identified translation needs and bridge to our volunteers. So for instance, we were talking about Globe at Night resources. This is something that we collaborated in the past, and definitely this is one of the most important resources that align also with our topics, our key central themes, that is the dark sky awareness and dark sky protection. So definitely this is something that it's at the core of our access measures. We also have or identified from our community, and feedback from our community is the need to have access to networks of experts. So for instance, if you are running a small astronomy club at your school, or you have an amateur astronomers group, and you want to have an astronomer, a professional astronomer, to meet up with their community, to make a talk on a specific topic of astronomy. What we did is to set up a program that in which we can bridge in different languages the astronomers, the professional astronomers, to the community that wishes to host them. Of course, the focus is astronomy research and what is the field that the astronomers are studying and their work. But every time we try to go a bit further and highlight during the presentation why is astronomy important for society, and also what is the path that we can carry in choosing astronomy as a career, so that we can also promote career choice and focus more on astronomy, of course. And by sharing these examples, these life stories by our astronomers, by our diverse community of astronomers, we hope to also inspire students and also their parents to perceive astronomy as a viable and important career for their children. As I mentioned, resources are some of the most important actions that we have and activities that we try to implement. We have 2 programs running. One is the Telescopes for All, in which we distribute telescopes specifically to underserved communities that don't have any resources or any contact with Telescopes for All. And One Family, One Telescope, in which again, our vision, and this is a close project that we have with NAOJ, our host, is to imagine a world where there's one family, we also have one telescope. And these are both programs in which we are currently implementing. And also the idea is to make the telescopes, make these resources accessible to all. independently of their background or their context. If you have a worthy program, if you have a worthy idea in which how you will implement and how you will share the telescope or this resource with your community, we always invite people to reach out to us and share their stories so we can support them in their needs. Another aspect that I mentioned was the skill building. And this is mostly focused on communication, the more formal communication aspect of astronomy. And for that, with that goal in mind, we have two core programs. One is the Communicating Astronomy with the Public, the journal, which is a free peer-reviewed journal for astronomy communicators. So there's two ways of receiving the publication. One is online and another is in print. And another program that we also have is conferences that occur every 2 years. And they intend to facilitate the exchanges of ideas, best practices between outreach professionals. So by sharing these two ways, best resources, best practices, the highlight creative ways of communicating astronomy, we try to support the community into a more, in the skill building aspect of being an outreach professional. And finally, the international cooperation or collaboration aspect. So the core of our programs, or the core of our office, is the management of the National Outreach Coordinators. So we are currently present in 130 something countries, currently 135. And this network is composed by outreach practitioners, teachers, and even professional astronomers. They are particularly engaged in their communities, and they align with the IAU mission and with our goals. I want to give you an example of how this international collaboration translates in practice with the particular program that we had last year. So last year, the IAU celebrated its 100-year anniversary. And so this was a chance to have a year-long global celebration of astronomical discoveries. And what I want to show you is how this international collaboration is embedded in the implementation or even in behind the scenes of this 100-year celebration. So we start with the team. So the central coordination was done by two teams, one based in Leiden. The core of the team was based in Leiden, where our president, Ivan van Dishok, is based. And Jorge Rivero was the international coordinator for this celebration. And my colleagues, my colleague Silung Chung and myself, we were based on the other side, if we can say it, the team based here in Tokyo, Japan. Of course, we had colleagues a little bit all around the world. So Eduardo, that is with us, was based in Brazil. Anna was based in the US, Canada. Bethany was based in Canada. So many of our colleagues, so this central coordination was already had a good geographical spread and collaboration between different institutions, and we try to establish a core coordination team diverse enough. Of course, a celebration, a global celebration, we started early on to identify partners that had the same goals or the same mission aligned with us. Again, the focus of international cooperation was very important, and most of all, that wanted or that pursued the same objective of the betterment of astronomy in all its aspects: development, outreach and communication, education, and research. That is the main focus of establishing these bridges between these associations around the world. And the impact of these measures, I believe it went beyond our wildest expectations. So we identified 120 national committees, 29 partners, and this translated into 5,000 something activities in 143 countries. We had a direct participation of 5 to 10 million people, and 100 plus million with indirect reach through our communication network, extended communication network. This collaboration or this cooperation also translates in the programs that we shared or that we asked people to join throughout the year. I don't want to go too much in detail in the programs. If you want, I can share my presentation with any of you. So we had 11 global projects. Some of them you can see, for instance, we had the Inspiring Stars, which is focused on inclusion and diversity, Pale Blue Dot, global citizenship, women and girls in astronomy events, 100 hours of astronomy, which is a global, which is to bridge with our colleagues, amateur astronomers. And also, when I mentioned one of the key actions and one of our key goals is the sharing of worthy resources. So we distributed educational materials and produced educational and outreach materials, for instance, like exhibition, again, the telescopes with our community, providing a legacy that can be used in the future, reaching out or increasing the reach and the legacy in years to come. Very briefly, we had, like I mentioned, the 100 hours of astronomy with 1,200 events. We had the Inspiring Stars program, which addressed this concept of inclusion by using astronomy. And I want to stress that although there was a program specifically dedicated for inclusion, inclusion and accessibility was the baseline of many of our programs, or was at the core of all our programs, because it's important that we start addressing inclusion as a full part integrant in our activities, whether it's a star party that needs to take into account someone in a wheelchair or someone that is blind or visually impaired, to an exhibition, to a talk. So this is something that, although we have specific programs on inclusion, it's something that we need to be at the core or transversal to all our activities. We also had the Women and Girls in Astronomy that run throughout the year. And we had over 200 activities and focused on role models in astronomy and encouraging little girls in going into STEM or choosing STEM as a career. Here we see Connie in action, inspiring as always. She led, also with my colleague Silung, the Dark Skies for All, and this was an incredible program. So we managed to distribute 54 Dark Skies kits, and we had almost 250 activities in 50 countries. And the focus of our actions was around, or were located around, the International Day of Light that occurs every year, UNESCO endorsed International Day of Light in May 16. We finished the celebrations looking back at our planet and focusing our discussions all around global citizenship, environmental awareness, and we had a very good answer or reply from our, or engagement from our colleagues all around the world. We have 500 events in over 15 countries. So it was a good way to finish the celebrations. Let me just check the time. So our, when we mention all these numbers, all these activities, 5,143 countries, 5 to 10 million, we all perceive that they are large scale, they are international events, that they're truly engaging, and this is how the map looks like. But there's still a lot to go. There's still a long way to go. As you can see, we couldn't manage to reach all the countries. I think we did a fairly good job, but we always need to look for more. And that will be translated in years to come through the strategic plan that I mentioned in the beginning, the IAU strategic plan for 2030, and the legacy. And how will this legacy continue? It will continue through the network through our network, through our national outreach coordinators. They were key in implementing these activities. So every time we talk about these 5,000 activities or the reach, behind the numbers, there are amazing, inspiring people that every day they're working with their communities. They're trying to understand the needs of their communities and are making a difference in bringing astronomy all around the world. So I just wanted to pay my appreciation and my admiration through all these people around the world. So for instance, we have Zara in Madagascar. Zara is a researcher, and she's very strongly connected to her work in outreach in Madagascar, running quizzes for engaging the community, especially now through COVID digitally, despite all the hardships that in terms of internet connection, in terms of inaccessibility of the most remote areas. It's inspiring to see how hard she tries to reach and to bridge to her community. And like her, there's so many inspiring examples. Of course, you all know Rosa. She was our National Outreach Coordinator until last year. We have, for instance, Aviva doing a wonderful work in Indonesia, Beatriz in Argentina, that is strongly connected to astronomy education as well. Yamaoka-san here in Japan, Eduardo in Brazil, and these are only a few of our colleagues that every day are engaging with their communities, are identifying the needs, and they are reaching out to us as part of our community and help us understand how can we tailor our programs in a way that can be impactful and that can support them in their missions. For instance, again, she's associate professor in Bhutan, and her goal will be in 2021 to bring astronomy to remote schools in Bhutan. And so we are working with Ugyen and trying to understand how can our programs support her and her goals for outreach in Bhutan. And again, I wish I could have more time to talk about all the inspiring people that we have in our network, that they are the true heroes when we talk about all these programs, all these numbers, or the impact that we are making. It's thanks to them and their ongoing work in their communities. They are the true the bridge builders that are making such a big difference in their communities. how will we continue to support our network? How will we continue to support, at least partially, beyond the access that we mentioned, the resource distribution, access to expertise? How can we further support their projects? Last year, we established the NOCs funding scheme, and in which we open a call to all our NOCs, our National Outreach Coordinators, and the core of this call is that they have, our coordinators, they have to team up between different countries, identify a problem in their communities, and a way to solve it together. So I want to share some of the 4 projects that were awarded during 2019. One of them is Reclaiming the Night, in which our NOCs from Brazil, Cape Verde, Mozambique, Portugal, and São Tomé and Príncipe will address light pollution by engaging students and society at large in measuring and fighting light pollution. So this is one of the projects. Another one is between our NOCs in Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda. And it's on astrotourism outreach, and in which the program will train and implement programs related to astrotourism and dark skies awareness in these different countries after an initial training. 2 more projects that were also selected was one between Indonesia and Sri Lanka, Iceland Astro Diversity, that will reach, that plans to reach underserved orphaned children. And in Namibia and Netherlands, a joint project will take a mobile planetarium to remote areas. I know I still have time, but I'm really looking forward to be able to talk to you and to have your feedback, your questions. And so I wanted to finish by highlighting what is beyond or behind our programs and what is the driving force in our network, and why do we have such impact in the community, in the global community. So we tried to tailor as much as we can our projects and our programs to really meet the needs of our community. And it can be as simple as they don't have a telescope, don't have a mobile planetarium, or even the almost basic resources, access to the internet. These are only examples of the stories that we try to collect behind all and every outreach activities. What motivates our outreach practitioners to carry an outreach event in their countries? Even if it's from looking through a telescope for the first time, or to engage with role models, professional astronomers, or even highlight or strengthen the collaboration with amateur astronomers that are such a powerful force and driving force in our community, or enjoying an exhibition or in a science center or a planetarium show. These are all small, of course, but activities that can change the life of so many people and in such a diverse number of communities. Building these bridges and the reasoning behind it, to if it's just to disseminate astronomy or to promote critical thinking, all of these activities we can pair up, or we encourage people to pair up to bring a message of togetherness and also peace, because we do have that power in our outreach activities. and our events that we carried, especially nowadays, especially in this time of such hardship. We really encourage our community to add that component to each of the programs. And a simple story can inspire so many people. And more than inspiring, it can lead them to try to achieve the same in their own communities. So multiplied by all, even if it's a family and friends, or a big amphitheater, or even an online event like we're having today. One by one, by one, by one, this allows us to really establish a global bridge between people and all around the world. And that is our, or the strategy, if you will, that we have at the core of our actions. Even a small story, a small event can make a huge difference. And when we bring everyone together, that's how we can really reach or make astronomy or bring astronomy to everyone. In the end, I wish that we can continue to celebrate astronomy, preferably together, and of course under one sky. And I wish to thank you all for listening to my talk. And I'm really looking forward to take your questions or comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lina. I'm misunderstanding the chairperson's assignment. So this talk should be chaired by Seiichiro Naito. So I take action to him.
Of
So
course,
please.
Anda-san. Hi, Nato-san.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, everybody. Let me introduce myself for a brief time. I am actually co-chair of these sessions. I am a public outreach staff at Public Relations Center of National Astronomical Observatory of Japan, and I work together with Lina for the first CAP, Communicating Astronomy with the Public, in 2018 in Fukuoka, Japan. So I'm very glad to talk with Lina today again. Yes, we are sharing the same floor, office floor, but actually I have glanced you once or twice in this recent month. So, but I'm very relieved that you are very fine today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Naito-san.
And okay, so then please post anyone post your question to the Q&A to Lina's presentation. So I will make a discussion with you all.
Naito-san, if I can add, so you introduced and you said we are colleagues and that we share the same building. And you mentioned CAP, Communicating Astronomy with the Public Conference, and this is one example of the activities that I mentioned. So because we are based here at NAOJ in Japan, we get the privilege and we are lucky to collaborate with great professionals such as Naito-san and the NAOJ public relations team, and in this global international project. So for instance, the event that Naito-san was mentioning was to the date the largest and most diverse Communicating Astronomy with the Public conference. So we had 460 something participants from 53 different countries, and it was hosted in Fukuoka here in Japan. And I think it was a beautiful example of that global international cooperation and bridging to so many different communities around the world and sharing the best practices. So I want to thank Naito-san for being such a good colleague and
thank you so much.
all his support.
Naito-san, we already have one question.
Yes, I'm reading that. So one question from Soham Chattopadhyay. Excuse me if I cannot call you correctly. Yes, the question is, how can I connect my organization under IAU outreach programs?
Thank you for your question. That's an excellent one. You can do it in different ways. You can engage with our programs, the one that I mentioned, for instance, the Meet the IAU Astronomers. You can host an IAU astronomer for a meetup or a talk with your community. You can reach out to our national coordinator. So we have a list of national representatives, and you can reach out to them and ask how can you contribute, or how can you engage with us. And of course, you can always send a direct email to me or to my colleagues in saying how and which particular project would you like to engage with, and then we will put you in contact with the specific project coordinator, etc., in order for you to further collaborate.
Is it okay? So then the second question comes from Kok Chan Chen. Hi, Lina. Is IAU planning to have an international astronomy conference, especially for youth, such as for high school students?
For high school students or formal education specifically, that is under our sister office of astronomy for education. So there will be a short workshop. I believe I'm sorry if my memory fails, but it will be in November, if I'm not mistaken. And it will be online, and that's where the specifically focus for formal education. Of course, from our side, from our outreach, astronomy outreach and public engagement, naturally there is always an overlap, which is not at all a negative thing. It's a good thing that we can collaborate, closely collaborate with teachers, formal teachers and students. We do our collaboration is mostly focused on the initiatives in which formal education impact society. So for instance, when Connie was mentioning about the Dark Sky Rangers program, that is the most interesting example of how in a direct way school teachers and students can influence society and can impact society. All the activities that also involve parents, it's also under our support, our direct support. This to answer your question. Our office has the Communicating Astronomy with the Public conference. Although it's not focused directly on professional educators, teachers, and the formal settings of education, we do have have submissions and abstracts that relate to formal education. This conference was supposed to happen in September in Sydney, Australia, but it was postponed to 2022. We are hoping to have or to host a virtual meeting of Communicating Astronomy with the Public in late February of 2021. So please, if you can follow us, follow our channels, that as soon as we have more information about this virtual Communicating Astronomy with the Public, we will share this news with you.
Thank you. So I also thinking during your speeches that the informal education can and should influence to the future formal educations. In Japanese case, of course, so many scientists, researchers, and teachers, museum educators are trying to popularizing and public outreaches for astronomy. But of course, it's not easy to move the official formal education system in the school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in the case of the global activities, the situation of each nation's educational agencies have a different policy or strategy for governing their education for their students. So I think your new office for astronomical education will bring the school education, formal educations, they have to connect the activity to the each issues for different countries, I think. Maybe an environmental problem or such a literacy, scientific literacy or such a thing. But the basement of the public citizens, the IAU's activity raising up the wide citizens' enthusiasm to the science and astronomy, then it can affect to the atmosphere of the nation or states. Then the OAE should make a more official movements. So I think the future relationship and cooperation with two offices is very important in each country. That's my just opinion. So
definitely, I agree completely. Please continue.
Oh, no, it's okay.
No, I agree. I agree completely, and I want to follow up on what you were mentioning. So you mentioned different countries have different realities, and when I was talking about the tailoring our strategy according to the community, according to the national situation of the country, informed by our national coordinators. This also allows us to draft or to make a strategy within the country. So for instance, we have countries that their goal is to have an official curriculum in astronomy in schools, and as designed by to influence the Ministry of Education to have an official curricula or astronomy inserted in the curriculum. So the way our side or our task is to generate the interest and the need and the visibility of astronomy in the community first, and then this allows for a pressure, if we can call it like this, into the upper layer. So it's a bottom-up approach. Of course, this is not always possible, but pairing up with outreach activities in excitement of the community at wide, the society at wide, to team up, it does help to have concerted efforts to impact this future curricula building, official curricula building in each country. Of course, this varies a lot from country to country, but this is one aspect that we really take at the core of many of our actions in different countries that don't have astronomy in the curricula, is to build the visibility of astronomy, the relevance for scientific literacy, and how transversal to so many sciences that really can impact science studies and science curricula based in astronomy.
Thank you. It's very important and very interesting discussions. So another two comments I think was posted. One is from Ryan Khan. Being part of IAU Dark Skies Ambassadors team, I have received this Turn on the Night kit. Thank you so much for all the support.
Thank you. It's really incredible, the work that, so this is Connie's work again, and she's leading one of the most interesting programs, the Globe at Night, and she mentioned also the Dark Sky Rangers, and they're definitely at the core of the activities that we carried. When I mentioned that in May every year we carry a set of activities, they're definitely at the core of the promotion of dark skies awareness that we carry specifically in May. And if as a Dark Skies ambassador, I want to thank you for your contribution and for your sharing and implementing the kit in your community, because again, it's people like you and people that put their effort in bringing and raising awareness, not only in dark sky, but also women and girls in astronomy, in other topics that we address, whether it's inclusion, that really make a difference in the field. And we are really, really appreciated for your efforts.
Okay, and one more comment from the Soham Chattopadhyay. We observed the 100 hours of astronomy event, but couldn't find a place to upload the picture and data. And that was a event by carried by
Yes.
IAU, I think. So
that is a good.
Could you please show the contact point or contact
yes.
address them again?
So we have a Flickr account where we had uploaded all the photos of the year. So what I would like to ask is that please send me an email. It was in my presentation, or I can write in the chat. Please reach out to me, and we can definitely include the photos for 100 hours of astronomy.
Okay. Is there any have another comments or questions?
Naito-san, if there is no comments, I was hoping to say a few words since we still have at least 1 or 2 minutes to say
course.
that. So I started, my background is astronomy and geophysics, and I started my activities, more project management and outreach internationally, thanks or through GAJU. So for me, I want to express my gratitude for allowing me to share the projects that I'm currently collaborating and leading. But to say that this is all thanks to Rosa, to Carl, and to so many good friends that I met thanks to GAJU. I think it was really the best place to start because of how inspiring the hard work of the community, the GAJU community, and the impact that it's been doing for so long, so many years. And I really want to just say thank you, and for being this source of inspiration for so many of us, and to help us to be better, because I think that's the spirit that the GAJU really builds up in their community. That it's in many aspects it's also our community. So I just want to say thank you for being awesome. I think it's the best way to describe.